Thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I got to ask you straight up because this is Canadian Music Week 2018. We're here in Toronto. We're actually just by City Hall. How does it feel being here in Toronto, and how does it feel being part of CMW, one of the biggest, if not biggest, music shows, conferences, everything that you can think of with music is happening?
Well, it's so exciting. I mean, last year was my very first time in Toronto and my first time attending Canadian Music Week. I didn't perform. And then this year being asked to come and play, incredible feeling. And the weather's nice, so I can't complain.
No, you can't complain with that. Let's talk about, you said you're part of CMW. What show are you doing?
Yeah, so I am performing at the Supermarket on May 10th at 8:30, and I'm so psyched to be part of it.
Well, you gotta be, because if you think about it, so many great groups, from the Bare Naked Ladies, Alanis Morissette, a lot of groups started and artists started through CMW, and like, this is your showcase.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a launch pad, so I'm really excited. First time actually like playing outside of Alberta. This is like a really big deal for me.
Well, let's talk about, because we got a lot to talk about, because we got to talk about your music, we got to talk where you're coming from. But first off, let me get back again. Your name is what?
Letters from Pluto. Yeah.
Now, I have to assume having a name like that has to do something with that you probably like, kind of like the space and stars and stuff.
Just a bit. No, the name originated because when I was a child, I wanted to be an astronaut, and that didn't happen. So I wanted to find a way to fuse my love of space with my love of music, and Pluto's kind of like that, poor forgotten planet, kind of on the edge of the solar system. So I wanted to I just had this imagery of Pluto sending us messages, and then that's how Letters from Pluto was formed. And as soon, I came up with so many names, none of them were resonating. As soon as I said Letters from Pluto, I knew immediately. I was like, that's the name. That's the one for me. It feels like it just works for me.
So you must have been pissed then when they turned around and tried to say Pluto wasn't a planet.
Oh, it's still a planet.
Thank you.
It's still a planet. No.
Thank you, because that's what I keep saying. It's still a planet.
Yeah.
But does it also connect with, because you kind of have this sort of electronic pop R&B thing going too?
Yeah, in some of my songs I try to kind of have a little bit of a spacey, kind of atmospheric vibe, so I try to definitely fuse the name in my music somehow.
Well, again, let's go back to, as you said, growing up. Growing up where?
In Edmonton.
Edmonton, and you wanted to be an astronaut, but music sort of took over your life. Why music? What was it about music that really resonated with you?
Well, I've been in music in some shape or form since I was 5 years old, and I was involved in so many different bands, like concert bands, jazz bands, orchestral bands, and it was always such an important part of my life, and I always knew I wanted to be involved in music somehow, and I was thinking of being a music teacher, and then one day I just thought, you know what, I have to try this because I wanted to be able to express myself. I needed to get that out. And so I just made the conscious decision, because I feel like as an artist, you have to make that conscious decision, because it can be a hobby sometimes. And I was like, no, I really want this, to make this my career and go for it. And one day I just kind of snapped my fingers. I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try, otherwise I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life.
Now, when I talk about the electronic stuff, I'm correct on that, right?
Yeah, there's like it's not like strictly electronic, but there's like an electronic infused in it. Yeah.
How did that sound come about for you?
I've always loved bands like Muse, Coldplay, M83, and I feel like, Muse, even though they're kind of like a heavier band, they still have that electronic vibe, and M83 electronic. So I wanted to find a way to have pop with that kind of like atmospheric sounding thing. So to me, it started that way from the very beginning. I knew I wanted to have that electronic part of my music.
What about, we talked about the music part, what about the storylines though?
Storylines of my music? A lot of them tell stories of where I was at that point in time in my life. Like my EP that I released in 2016 was kind of a snapshot of what I was going through. Now with my new singles coming up, they're kind of snapshots from last year, things I just recently went through. So they're all very personal to me.
There have been awards handed to you also. You've had stuff. Talk a little about that, please.
Not really award, but nomination. I got nominated for a Hollywood Music and Media Award for my previous single, Cold Right Now. And that was insanity. I mean, I went to Hollywood, to this Hollywood show. I'd never been to LA before. I'd never been to Hollywood. And I was in this room with Earth, Wind, and Fire were there, and I had a mini heart attack. And
Did you talk to them?
I wish. They were a couple meters away from me, and I just wanted to bow in front of them, because I've been in a jazz band. I've played September. It is
Caleb Bailey is sitting right next to you. You ain't even gonna like tap something?
Oh no, I like tried to get to them. No, they were just being herded by people. No, I couldn't, trust me. I wanted to throw myself like over the crowd of people to get to them and I couldn't.
So when you think about this, that like people are listening to your music and they're really digging it. So when you know you've got that kind of an audience growing, does it put pressure on you and the kind of music that you want to make? Or do you ignore that and just go, no, whatever is inside of me is going to come out?
I try to ignore it, and also I do, because like Edmonton is kind of in a little bit of a bubble, I guess you would say. So it's like some of this is happening to me, but it also feels like it's not happening to me. So it's easy to kind of separate myself from it and just sit in my room and write my tunes. And I think as an artist, it's always important to stay as authentic as possible, because I think the moment that you lose that, like you kind of lose your artistry. So that's my opinion at least. So I try to just like write what feels true to me and go from there.
So you're doing something really interesting because you are releasing, if I understand, 3 singles. We got one out right now. What single is out now?
So the one that's out right now is called Stop and Stare.
What is that one about?
That's about when you like have this connection with someone that you don't know, and it's you've never met them before, you've never seen them before, and they just like can't stop looking at you for one reason or another. I mean, it could be you have something on your teeth, or I don't know, or just there's like an attraction for some reason. And I've had some friends that have messaged me and they're like, oh yeah, I've had an experience like that. And so it's good to know that I'm writing something that people are relating to.
Now, you haven't released the other 2 singles. Can you give us a hint or at least tell us what those singles are going to be?
Maybe you'll have to wait.
Okay, but can you tell us at least a bit of a theme on this, or is there a theme?
Theme? No, actually the next 2 are quite different. Yes, I'm really excited to share. I don't want to give too much information. I'll say the next one that's coming is it's more of a mid-tempo, next to Stop and Stare, and then third one, I'll keep a secret for now.
Okay. But here's the one thing that I do love about what you're doing too, because somehow, like I said, that sound that you have with your voice, you use the drum beat really cool because you use it almost like another voice. I mean, have you even noticed that in your music?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm definitely part of like the production process. Like so, I always I don't know. I try to create as like interesting music as possible, and I wanted the drums to kind of have that feeling to them.
Yeah, it's strong, and I love that kind of sound. But look, to get more of this sound, we need you to tour a little bit more. Now, we are talking CMW right now, but what's going to happen in 2018 for the rest of the year for you?
That's kind of like some plans are in the works, looking into some festivals, hopefully back on this side of the country again, back on the other side of the country. And touring from Alberta is always a little tricky because we're a little bit separated from everything, but plans for the future are to come out here, try to do like a 1 or 2 week tour. I don't know if it's going to happen 2018, but it might happen early 2019.
But 2018 though, we still have 2 other singles. When do you think they're going to start coming out?
My aim for the second single is like late June, early July.
Oh, we got a summer song happening.
Yeah, summer song. And then the third one, probably about August, September.
All right, so then we got summer and fall. Very, very cool. Look, because you're going to be so busy, we need to know where you are in the world. So social media-wise, where do we go to follow you?
I'm on Facebook, just look up Letters From Pluto. Instagram is at Letters From Pluto. Twitter, Letters_Pluto, because it's actually one character too long. So I had to be creative. So I'm everywhere. Yeah, just look me up, type in Letters From Pluto, you'll find me.
Before you go, though, any advice you can give folks who are trying to follow their dreams? You're doing it right now. But some people, they're just like, life is just tough. What advice would you give them?
The music industry is definitely not an easy one. So I say if you really love and feel music with all your heart, you have to keep going. You have to have that determination. You have to have the grit, and you can't let anything stop you. And because you don't want to regret it down the line. And I just say go for it, go for your passion, even though it's hard. Find people that have the same dreams that you do. Surround yourself with them, because as soon as you have kind of that support system, it makes all the difference in the world.
Fantastic. One more time, social media, where do we go?
Letters From Pluto.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the interview. Have a great time during CMW, and cross fingers you're going to come back to Toronto.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.